Hello, sophomores. Continuing our tour of the Roman Empire, moving from the inside more towards the outside, let's talk a bit about Romanization and something that's going to go on in the provinces over a long period of time. So Romanization, non-Romans. I've mentioned this already, that the provinces were mostly self-governing in many key ways. And you still had many non-Romans in the Roman Empire, right? Most subjects of Rome are other peoples, right? They don't have a Roman identity. Identity or Roman citizenship, right? Or anything like that. And to be honest, the Romans weren't all that interested in spreading it. The Romans liked Roman citizenship and the Roman identity. They weren't thinking about this as we must spread our ways and our values to the whole world. By and large, the Romans thought, well, you do your thing and you be that, and it's fine. We don't want to be influenced by you. Hopefully, many of you will remember a process kind of like this happening last year when we talked about the Roman Republic and the growth of Roman citizenship through Roman allied city-states. What I want to point out, though, is something strange that happens. Over time, we're talking a long, gradual period. This could last 100 years in some places, or even more. You see the influence of the Latin language, Greek philosophy and culture, Roman law, and with it a lot of aspects of, buildings, temples, bathhouses, theaters, all these sorts of things. So that over time, decidedly non-Romans came to look and sound and talk more like Romans. And it's a strange process because the Romans didn't force this. They didn't, explicitly say, right, you become Roman just like us. In many cases, in fact, when locals tried and started to act, or tried to act a little more Roman, the actual Romans didn't like this. In fact, it was kind of like, well, what are you doing coming in here and influencing our ways? You're not an actual Roman. So what's going on here? You have a process of Romanization. A process of becoming more Roman. And this happens in a number of ways. Often, this happens with local elites, meaning local nobles or aristocrats. So the Greek city council members in a Greek town in Asia Minor. Or the tribal chieftains of Gaul or Spain or something. Basically, local elites, they want influence, so they become more Roman. One of the ways this might work is with education. You realize that your people need a new way of living. You can't be Celtic barbarians anymore, raiding and fighting each other, because the Roman army won't let you. So you need something else. So you think, oh gosh, I got to find some way for my people to survive. So you have to turn to agriculture or manufacturing or something. That means trade and commerce. So that means you gotta play nice with the Romans. So you go to the local Roman officials and you say, like, well, can you set up a colony? Can you set up a trading outpost here? And you strike a bargain and everything. And so the Romans, build a trading outpost, or they build a bridge over local rivers and stuff. And you get more contact with the Romans. And you want more access to the way the Romans do things. So maybe you hire a tutor, maybe you hire a Greek slave to be a tutor to your kids, so that your kids grow up learning to read and write Latin and or Greek, right? So education is part of this, but also trade. And now imagine what happens, 50, 60 years later. Those kids have grown up learning to speak Latin, and maybe they marry into the local Roman, local nobility, if they're successful. And so now you had sort of like half Celts, half Romans. So education and trade have a lot to do with this. And also just sort of the whole aspect of trading power. The Romans will pay more attention to you, they'll be nicer to you, they'll give you better trade deals or more legal protections if you're cozying up to them a little bit more. And so local people just sort of feel pulled towards the Roman system. Eventually, if you want to go the whole route, you can apply. Maybe I'll put it up here. Oh, and one of the other things, let me back up. Well, one of the other things which really helps spread this is that the Romans have many colonies. Cities or settlements, usually composed of former soldiers, but also traders, merchants. Remember, one of the big enticements to serving in the Roman army was access to land. After you get out, you serve 20 years in the army, and then the Romans give you a farm somewhere, and you can settle down and be a farmer. Usually that's not in Italy itself. Most of the good farmland's taken from Italy. So instead they say, the emperor or his generals tell you, we're setting up a colony in Gaul or North Africa or Asia Minor or Spain. There's nice, good farmland all picked out for you. It'd be really great. And we're going to set up a Roman-style town there. It's going to have, Roman streets. And once we get some aristocratic patronage, we'll build a bathhouse and maybe even a theater. And it'll have all the proper temples. It will be a Roman city. It will be a Rome away from home. Rome away from Rome, as it were. And so these colony settlements play a big role in spreading Roman culture and ideas all around the empire. And finally, let's go back to those locals again, the sons of your Germanic chieftains, right? Or Celtic chieftains. You have a Celtic chieftain whose grandfather, fought against Julius Caesar. And, they still would go out into the woods and sacrifice to the Celtic gods and, swear oaths to themselves about how one day they'd, slit every Roman's throats because, boy, those darn Romans are going to get rid of them. But now you're learning to speak Latin. Being nice to the Romans because you want better trade rights, and you really hope that a Roman garrison will actually be set up kind of nearby because that means the soldiers are going to want to buy food from your village and the things that you make, and that'll be good for your local economy. And let's just go along with the Roman system, guys. Eventually, if you want to go the whole route, you can form a municipia. Municipium. These are local towns, sometimes even little cities, but really, we should just keep it towns, which adopt a Roman-style constitution. And then basically you apply for legal recognition. And this meant you were basically forming a Roman-style town. You had to have, the physical layout of a city. More importantly, you had to have a city council with aristocrats doing the things Roman aristocrats did, and you had to have some legal protections and other things. And it meant you were going to sort of work within the Roman system. Often, this would, maybe not right away, but eventually it would lead to granting citizenship. Roman citizenship, which is a really nice thing if you're a Roman. There's lots of nice perks. Roman law is seen as being really good. It's seen as fair. The Romans were sticklers for being fair when it comes to the law. You'll remember one of the most famous Roman citizens of them all is the Apostle Paul in the Gospel. Here's the Apostle Paul. He's so sure about giving his life over to Christ. He forgoes all earthly pleasures and anything in this world, right? Everything to Christ, everything to Christ, everything to Christ. But you can also tell he's kind of proud that he's being taken to Rome to stand trial as a Roman citizen, because by golly, he's a Roman citizen, which is kind of a nice thing even for Paul. It's kind of funny. The Roman justice system was seen as being fair. You couldn't be crucified, only beheaded if you were going to be killed. It gave you access to trade, too. If you're a merchant somewhere a long way away and you want to make a business contract with someone, you don't want that contract enforced by a local tribal law. Whatever the local Celtic or barbarian tribe in the area is, They're not going to, they might not hold up on their end of the deal. They'll be favored towards the local merchant. But if it's a Roman citizen, then any contract dispute will be tried in local courts, in Roman courts. So Roman citizenship plays a big role in this. Okay. And so this is how slowly you have this expansion of what it means to be Roman, what it means to be almost civilized, all over the empire. And it takes a long time, and the fringes are always of the empire are always less Roman. But this is how you can end up with, over 100 or 200 years, almost the entire empire becomes Roman in a really important and fundamental way. There's lots more we could say on that, but I've gone on long enough. This is also a theme that we're going to hit occasionally. We're going to come back to it over time. So, all right, but definitely take care to memorize this idea of Romanization. Have some idea of how the process works, because it is going to pop up again. So, right, see you then.